Good morning. Hello. Don't know if it's morning or not for you. It's morning for me. This is Unit 5, Lesson 11, the last lesson in Unit 5. Alrighty. So that means you'll have a quick quiz coming next. Our target is still I can divide with decimal numbers. Hopefully by now you're getting really good at dividing by decimal numbers and you figured out that, hey, when I divide by something less than 1, I have more because I have more groups. I'm breaking it into groups smaller than 1. Today's lesson, we have to use the words currency and exchange rate, but I didn't give them to you yet because I want to talk about those things a little bit first. Now, if we had a big discussion, it would be pretty cool and people could pop up and say some things about, well, did you know that not everyone in the world uses the same currency? So what is currency? And what do we know about it? Well, you can see by my picture, and some of you have heard already before, currency is money. That's right. And the exchange rate, you would know, as I've talked a lot about Megan going and studying abroad in Spain. And while in Spain, she also traveled throughout Europe and some other countries. And a lot of those countries use different currency as well. So what Megan had to do is exchange or convert her American US dollars into whatever money the other country had. So that's the exchange rate, is how much money your money is worth. All right. So as you look on page 229, if you have it, or if not, you can just look on with here. We would read this together, and I would ask one of you to read, and you would do a super job. Unfortunately, no one could hear you, though, so you have to listen to me read it. When you travel from one country to another, you sometimes need to exchange your currency for the currency used in the country you are visiting. An exchange rate is the rate at which one currency can be exchanged for another. And here they're showing a currency exchange. This could be at a lot of different places. A lot of times you see them in international airports. I decided to just pull out what the exchange rate for the US dollar was today. And my today is March 31st. Your day could be lots of things. All right. And the US dollar in euros, look at this long decimal. Goes tenths, hundredths, thousands, 10,000ths, 100,000ths, millionths. Really goes way down. Notice as you look through, 1 US dollar gives us less than 1 euro. It gives us less than 1 British pound, but more than 1 Indian rupee. It can be all different things. Look at a yen. A US dollar gives us over 108 Japanese yen right now today. So let's continue reading. Currencies are usually compared to 1 US dollar. So they're going to always show 1 USD means 1 US dollar. When they are exchanged, for example, 1 US dollar may be exchanged for 6 7/10 Chinese yen or 1 32/100 Canadian dollars. The exact amount of exchange often varies from day to day. So if I check that, if you check it today, I bet it's different than what, or your today, it'll be different than what my today, March 31st is. So suppose 5 US dollars can be exchanged for 42 Norwegian kroner. What operation would you use to find the value of 1 US dollar? So I have a little $5 bill here, and I have 42 Norwegian kroner. How would I convert these into how much is the value of 1? Well, I need to take these and break them into groups, into 5 groups, right? That would be 5 equal groups would be dividing. So I need to divide. All right. Now, I like to use a number line to show this. Now, it could go on the other way, but I don't want to go in debt. We want to go positive. So let's stick that way. Now, I'm going to have US dollars on top and my kroner on the bottom. And I'm just going to use a K for kroner. Now, here I have 5 US dollars being 42 kroner. Down here, I have 1 US dollar. Well, I'm going to divide my 1 into 5 equal groups. I need to divide my 42 into 5 equal groups. So we said division, so that's what I'm going to do. 42 divided by 5. Well, there's 8 5s in 42, but I get a remainder of 2. Well, when dealing with money and I get a remainder, I'm going to attach a decimal point. Looks like I put one there accidentally. And a 0. It's still 42. Let me get rid of that. Hopefully I can do it. Yep, cool. Get rid of that. Now, it's still 42 kronen. I can bring down that 1/10. And now I have 20 tenths divided by 5 would take 4 tenths. 4 tenths multiplied by 5 is 20 tenths or 2. Oops. And I have 0 left over. Hope that didn't freak you out. So 1 US dollar ends up being 8 4/10 kronen. Does that make sense? Sure does, because I have more kronen than I had dollars here. I have more kronen than I have dollars here. And if I would go up 8 4/10 to $2, $3, $4. Now it's not very easy to count in 8 4/10, but 8 4/10, $2 would be another 8 4/10, would be 16 8/10. Another 8 4/10 would be 33 2/10. Another 8 4/10 would be 40. And it doesn't sound right. 8 4/10. Another 8 4/10 would be 16 8/10. Another 8 4/10 would be, there was my mistake. That's okay. We all make mistakes, especially me. I don't mind it. I'm glad I noticed it because I knew, hey, I can't get more here. Another 8 4/10 would be 25 2/10. Now another 8 4/10 would be 30 3 6/10. And then another 8 4/10 would be 42. So it does make sense. All right. So going to the next page. If you don't have it, that's okay because I have it. Completing the exchange rate column of a table. A country like Japan, their currency is yen. 20 US dollars are equal to 2,048 yen. England pounds, 10 US dollars is equal to 7 7/10 pounds. Germany has the euro, 50 US dollars equals 45 euro. Right now, see if you can exchange these. So take a few moments, and if you can figure out the exchange, go ahead and exchange them. And then when you're done, you can unpause or hit play, and I will show you how I did them. Welcome back. Here's how I did number 2. I said, I used my number line again. I said, hey, 20 US dollars. So here's my US dollars to yen. And I'm just going to put a Y for yen. $20 is equal to 2,048 yen. So to go from 20 down to 1, I have to take the 20 and divide by, or the 2,048 and divide by 20. Each one of these is going to get broken into 20 equal parts. When I divided, again, I had to attach a decimal and 0. It's still 2,048, and I got 102 and 4/10. Now, the great thing about doing this remotely and with video is you can pause the video, and if you don't think you did number 3 and 4 correctly, you can do them now. I know mine's correct because it's reasonable. More, 2,048 is about 10 times as much as 20, or I'm sorry, is about 100 times as much as 20, and 104 is about 100 times more than 1. So I know my answer is reasonable. So take a look at your next 2 answers, and if they don't look reasonable, pause the video and fix them. All right. So either you feel your answers are reasonable or you've adjusted them, and good for you. I'd rather you make a mistake and adjust it than just do it right and not really get it as well. So let's take a look at how I did number 3. Number 3 to me was mental math. And here's why it ended up being mental math. All right. They told me 10 US dollars is equal to 7 7/10 pounds. Well, going from 10 to 1 is just dividing by 10. And dividing by 10 is just shifting the digits, the one place to the left. So when I divided 7 7/10 divided by 10, I just shift the digits one place to the right, or my decimal one place to the left. One way to show that is to use equivalent division problems. Instead of dividing by 10, I can divide 10 by 10 to make it 1, and divide 7/10 by 10 to make it 77 hundredths. 77 hundredths divided by 1 is 77 hundredths. Now, is my answer reasonable? I always want to check that. Well, seven is less than 1 yen per dollar. I have less than 1 yen per my dollar. So again, if now you get it better and you need to, I suggest you pause and fix number 4. If you think number 4 is great, go ahead and take a look at, watch what I did, or once you're ready, play your video and watch what I did. Here's what I did, number 4. All right, so I had US dollars again on top and euros on the bottom. 50 US dollars gives me almost 50 euros. It gives me 45. So I know I'm almost going to get 1-to-1, but not quite. So when I divided 45 by 50, I knew I would have less than 1. So I put a 0 in. Again, I had to attach my 0, a decimal and 0. 450 tenths divided by 50. Well, there's 9 5s and 45, so there's about 9 50s. In fact, there was exactly. So I got 9/10. Is 9/10 reasonable? Yeah. I almost get €1 for every dollar, but not quite. And that's right. Every dollar is not quite worth €1. 9/10 is almost 1. So there is number 4. All right. Now, moving to 5 through 8. Visiting another country often means exchanging more than $1 for currency of that country. Yep, even in other countries, not many things only cost $1. So I'm probably not going to just exchange $1. Here's some math situations where you have to exchange for more than $1. So pause the video, do 5 through 8, and then you can play the video and watch how I do them. At any point, if you think you need to go to another one and fix it, do it. That's what's great about this. You get to pause it anytime you want. All right. So let's take a look at how I did 5 through 8. Again, pause it anytime you think you need to. All right. So in number 5, it says the exchange rate for francs, the currency in Switzerland, is $10 equals 9 6/10 francs. At that rate, how many francs would be exchanged for $25? So let's first start out and get things figured out. What am I doing? I have US dollars and francs. I like to start at 0 and 0. Now, I'm going 10 US dollars is going to give me 9 6/10 francs. And right away I'm noticing not quite 1 franc for each dollar. I need to know how much are they going to give me for 25. So right away I'm thinking it's going to be not quite 25. Well, to go from 10 to 25, I need to go 9 6/10 each time. I'm not going to hit 25. Now I know what times 10 is 25, but if I didn't, the easy thing to do is to compare it to 1. Because 1 is kind of a magic number. I can always go to 1 by dividing by the number I have. So I have to divide that by 10, which is awesome because that's super easy. When you divide by 10, each digit gets 1 place value less or shifts once to the right. This makes sense. $1 is not quite 1 franc. Another thing that's great about 1 being a magic number is it's a factor of every number too. I can multiply by 1. I can get any number by multiplying by 1, by multiplying that number. So I need 25 groups of $1 to get 25. That's taking 25 groups of 96 hundredths. So I am going to take, and I remember when I learned how to multiply decimals that I don't need to write in the decimal. But I just can't forget to put it in when I'm done. When I multiply by 2-digit numbers, I like to use different colors when I can. So first I'm going to take 96 multiplied by 1s. To do that, I take the 5 multiplied by the 1s in 96, which are 31s, which are 3 10s and 0 1s. Multiply the 5 by the 10s, which is 45 10s, plus the other 3 10s is 48 10s. Now I get to change colors. And now 96 multiplied by 20, when I'm multiplying by a factor of 10, I can just take the 0 and put it in my product and then multiply by 2. because that's shifting each digit one place left, and that's what multiplying by 10 is. 2 multiplied by 6 is 12. 2 multiplied by 9 is 18, plus the one more I just got are 19. And now I add 0. I get 10, 14, and 2. Now remember, don't forget the decimal point. 96 hundredths, the decimal was there, has 1, 2 decimal places. I need 2 decimal places. So that says it should be 24. Is that reasonable? Well, I have almost 1 to 1, not quite. 25 gives me almost 25, not quite. So 24 francs is definitely reasonable. And I'm just going to put an F because you don't need to watch me try to write. Okay, if you need to, pause and do 6, 7, and 8 again. Otherwise, if you feel, or once you're comfortable with them, play on. I'm going to get this out of our way, though. Oh, I can leave that. So now, a traveler in Latvia exchanged 5 US dollars for 3 1/10 lots. At that rate, what is the cost of a souvenir in lots if it costs 3 US dollars? So I'm going to put US dollars on top and lots on the bottom. $0 are 0 lots. 5 US dollars only gives me 3 1/10 lots. I want to know what $3 would give me. Well, I don't know. 5 divided by what is 3? So I'm going to take it all the way down and figure out what $1 is first. 5 divided by 5 will give me 1. So I'm going to go down whatever that rate is 5 times. I'm taking the 31 and dividing it, or 3 1/10, and dividing it by 5. And I'm going to put my decimal and my quotient right away because otherwise I forget it. Are there any 5s in 3? No. Now, that makes sense because I don't get 1 lafia. I get less than 1 lafia for each dollar. So $1 is going to give me less than 1 whole lafia. Now, how many in 31? There's 6. 6 5s are 30. Oh no, I still have a 10th left. Oh, no problem, Mr. Springer. Money just attach a 0. That's still 3 1/10. It's just 3 10/100ths. They're equivalent. Bring down that 0. 10 divided by 5 is just like taking 10 cents and dividing by 5. They would be 2 cents. It's 2 hundredths. 2 hundredths multiplied by 5 is 10 hundredths. And I have 0 left over. Okay, so 1 gives me 62 hundredths of a lafia. Lots. All right, that is reasonable because 5 only gave me 3 1/10. 1 is going to give me less than 1. Now I'm going to go from 1 to 3. Remember, 1 is a magic number. Well, that's a nice color, Mr. Springer. It's a factor of everything. 1 multiplied by 3 is 3. So I'm going to take 1, 2, 3 groups of 1 takes 1, 2, 3 groups of 62 hundredths. Okay, I need to fix that. I don't know what I did, but 62 hundredths, I'm going to write it without my decimal point, multiplied by 3. 3 multiplied by 2 is 6. 3 multiplied by 6 is 18. Now put in my decimal back. It was 62 hundredths, has 1, 2 decimal places, 2 decimal places. $1 or 1 and 86 hundredths lots. Makes sense. Not quite 3. And I'm going to abbreviate lots with an L. That's not even a good L. There. So again, if now it makes more sense for you to pause it, go ahead and pause it and then play it again to see me do number 7. So number 7. A tourist would like to exchange 100 US dollars for kuna. Now we're talking some serious cash. The currency for Croatia at a rate of 12 US dollars for 80 and 4/10 kuna. How many kuna should the tourist receive? So again, US dollars on top. It doesn't matter which I put on top and bottom. It's just I have to keep track of it. So I'm going to kind of stay the same each time. 0 US dollars, 0 kuna. I want to know 100 US dollars. I can put that way at the end because I'm not going to have more than $100, that's for sure. And 100 US dollars for kuna. I don't know how much. But I do know is 12 US dollars give me 80 and 4/10 kuna. All right. So I have more kuna than I had dollars. So that tells me here I'm going to have more kuna than dollars. And that each kuna or each single dollar should give me more than 1 kuna. 12 down to 1. I'm going to go into my equal groups. I'm dividing by 12. So 80 and 4/10 divided by 12 is going to tell me how much are in each one of these 12 US dollars. Don't forget, put in your decimal right away. Let's change colors. No 12s in 80. I believe there's 6 12s in 80. Actually, there's no 12s in 8. That's 72. Leaves me with 8 again. But when I bring down a 4, I know there's 12, or there's 7 12s in 84. So there's 7/10 of a 12 and 8 and 4/10. 7/10 multiplied by 12 is 8 and 4/10. So that's nothing left. Does that make sense? That $1 gives me 6 and 7/10. Yeah, because 6 multiplied by 12 is 80. 7 multiplied by 12 is 84. And that's in between, or 6 and 7/10 is in between 6 and 7. So it's definitely reasonable. What's cool about this one is, guess what? To go from 1 to 100, I'm taking it 100 times. So I'm taking 6 and 7/10. Pretend that's a 7, guys. 100 times, which is super easy. Each digit gets 1, 2 place values greater. So the 6 goes from the 1s, and the 7 goes from the 10s to the 10s and the 1s, and then I need a 0. 100 is going to give me 670 kuna. Is that reasonable? Not quite. Let's see what I did here. 1 was 6 and 7/10. So 12 was 80 and 4/10. Oh, yeah, 100 is 670. It is reasonable, I'm sorry, because 6 times 1, 6 times 100 is 600, and 7 times 100 is 700. I'm between 600 and 700. So it would be 670 kuna. Sorry about that. My brain just wasn't functioning quite right. I was thinking 670 was less than 100 for some reason. All right. So now the final one. Pause the video and do it again if you need to fix it. But if you're good on it, let's move on. The cost to visit a famous tourist attraction in Russia is 812 and 5/10 rubles. Oh my gosh. That's expensive, it seems like. What is the cost in US dollars if the exchange rate is 3 US dollars equal 195 rubles? Okay, so this is starting to make a little more sense to me because I get a lot of rubles for my dollars. So again, let's start out. What am I going to put where? I'm going to put US dollars on top and rubles on the bottom. 0 US dollars, 0 rubles. Now, I have to pay 812 and 5/10 rubles. And I think, oh my gosh, there's no way I'm going to have that much money. And what do I know is 3 US dollars is worth 195 rubles. Well, I don't know how many 195s it would take to get 812 and 5/10, but because I don't have any decimal, I know I wouldn't have a decimal. I know I'd have to multiply by a decimal. So I'm going to go and first figure out what's $1 going to give me. So I need to take the 195 rubles and divide them equally into the 3 groups. That looks pretty easy, but I am thinking I'm going to get a decimal, just so you know. I'm thinking that, but I'm not sure. There aren't any 3's in 1. No, I'm not getting a decimal. How many 3's in 19? There are 6, because 6 3's are 18. I have 1 of the 10 rubles left. Bring down the 5, that 1 becomes 10. And now I have 15 divided by 3 is 5. 5 groups of 3, I used all 15, and I have none left. So it's not a decimal. So that's telling me that I'm going to get a decimal here. So what do I have to do now? Oh, wait a minute. Every $1 is 65 rubles. I want to know how many 65s are in 812 and 5/10. I need to divide my 812 and 5/10 by 65. How many of you got that? That's pretty tricky to figure out how many dollars are in there. How many 65s are in there? For each 65 in there, I have $1. Put in your decimal right away. Any 65s in 8? No. Any 65s in 81? There's 1. Oh, let's use red. There's 1. 165 is 65. When I subtract, I have to ungroup. Gives me 16. 16 is less than 65, I can bring down. How many 65s in 162? Well, if I think of this, a 5 makes this my estimate, might not be good. How many 7s in 16? There's 2. So I'm going to try 2 65s. Well, 2 times 60 is 120. 2 times 5 is 10. That's 130. Oh, it's not very large. I'm nervous. But I'm okay. 32. But I am out of room. So get ready for it. There we go. Now, 32 is less than 65. I'm good to bring down my 5/10. So now that's going to make 325/10. Okay. It looks like 2 was 130. How many 70s in 32 would be 4? So let's try 4 as an estimate. 4 multiplied by 65. Well, 4 multiplied by 60 is 240. 4 multiplied by 5 is 20, would be 260 tenths. Gives me 5. I'm going to change colors for my subtraction because I have to ungroup. Gives me a 2 is 12 is 65 more tenths. Wait, I can put 1 more in each one. I need to erase that and make it 1 greater. I'm not surprised. So it has to become a 5. So it becomes just $12.50. Oh, I can afford that. That's more reasonable price. Let's see if it's more reasonable math. My dollars are a lot less than my rubles. So it makes sense. And if I'd have went to 10 dollars, 1 multiplied by 10, 65 multiplied by 10 would be 650. Or let's go to $20, way up here. 65 multiplied by 20, well, 60 times 20 is 120. 5 multiplied by 20 is 100. Would be, I did something wrong. Oh, 60 multiplied by 20 is 1,200. 20 multiplied by 5 is 100. That would be 1,300. And 12 and 5/10 is between 10 and 20. And 812 and 5/10 is between, I think that's 630, but I'm not sure, and 1,300. So yeah, 12 and 5/10 or $12.50 is reasonable. Good luck on your quick quiz. If you're not ready to take your quick quiz, I suggest you do some more practice. Look through the lessons and see what else you can do to practice. If you're ready for your quick quiz, contact your teacher to load it onto Think Central. Good luck. Great learning.